Part 3. Problems within the family. Chapter 12. What's wrong with my children? The love we have for our children motivates us to work hard so that we earn money for not only for the four requisites, but also comforts like a quality education, toys, technology, transportations and clothes. We also work hard, however, so that they will not be embarrassed by signs of poverty. We love them so much that sometimes we blur the line between properly nurturing them and improperly spoiling them, even if we have the noble intentions of devoting all of our efforts towards their happiness. Spoiling our children neglects their important emotional and spiritual growth. Spoiled children usually end up more unhappy in the long term because they suffer when they cannot always get what they want. We are then surprised and saddened when they are caught doing drugs, drinking alcohol, and otherwise behaving outrageously. Self-destructive behavior is just as detrimental to a child's future as lack of education or lack of food. If allowed to continue along this path, they will destroy their own future. How then can we prevent our children from going down this path? The first thing we need to realize is that we are our children's teacher. If no poor behavior has developed, then we can simply teach them about ethics, what is right and wrong behavior, and how they can demonstrate self-discipline. However, if they have already begun to develop self-destructive behavior, then we need to address the problem immediately. Fun fact: there are 5 criteria that need to be met for children to be assured a bright future and find success in both their professional and personal life. 1. Teach them to refrain from bad deeds. 2. Teach them to do good deeds. 3. Provide them with a good education so they will have knowledge to follow a career and learn responsibility. 4. Help the children select a life partner and explain to them what they need to do in order to prepare for family life and their responsibilities that they will have. 5. Bequeath them our wealth and assets. Give them an inheritance in order for them to start their own legacy. Very simply, children behave badly because they do not mimic or follow the words of good role models. Let us examine our own behavior. Do we know how to discern right from wrong, good from bad? Do we engage in poor behavior in front of our own children for them to see? Do not leave the moral teaching to the school teachers. We should be the person teaching them moral development. Do not rely on the school or university to do this. When our children are at home, our first focus should be on developing their ethical behavior, so that when they are away from home and need to make decisions by themselves, they will have sound judgment about drinking, drugs, money, and sex. Although it is time-consuming to impart our knowledge to our children, do not forget that the time we spend with them is perhaps the most important work we have. Additionally, do not be overprotective. Instead of forbidding them from going anywhere or doing anything, realize that as our children grow, they need to accept some of the responsibility of becoming an adult. Instead of saying no immediately, say, "Please let me think about it." If we have taught them about good and bad, right and wrong, and planning ahead for how situations will play themselves out, then we should try to encourage them to begin making some of their own decisions, little by little. When it comes to children's education, most parents are supportive, but some have too high of an expectation. For the sake of your children, do not be one of those parents. Every child has a gift or a talent. Sometimes that talent is not a traditional academic one, but one that should be pursued outside of the classroom environment. Athletics, music, art or public speaking, for example, are amazing examples. There are many talented athletes who are not brilliant academicians, but they would make excellent sports announcers, sports trainers or coaches. Do not send the child to a famous university only because we went there, one of our friends' children went there, or because it is the chic place to go. This thinking is severely flawed. Examine what our child is talented in and where their future interests lie, so that when they have to study at the appropriate learning institution and subsequently make an income, they will happily do so because they were a part in shaping their own life. If our children are already using drugs or alcohol, or are addicted to any type of illegal substance, we should approach them for a discussion without anger. Let them know of our concern. Allow them to come to their own conclusions about their behavior once they understand that our concern comes from the love that we have for them. Often they make choices without understanding why their decisions are wrong. Sometimes they do not even realize that they were worrying or hurting us. Among the many topics that need to be discussed with children, there are some main points of importance. 1. Money comes from hard work. We can explain that going out at night is a waste of money. People need to work hard to be able to purchase food, shelter and clothing, and save money for the security and well-being of the family. To do this responsibly, people need to be discerning with their money and look for the best values. Wasting money on a few hours of entertainment is like wanting our future to evaporate into the air. Not everyone goes out to clubs or consumes alcohol. In fact, there are many people who engage in more worthwhile pursuits, like volunteering to help the homeless or reading to the blind. Community service or volunteer activities are much more fulfilling than clubbing. 2. Peer pressure influences behavior. Although it is not difficult for some people to say no to friends, our children need to find appropriate answers when their friend asks them to drink or try drugs. Because they are inexperienced with these harmful substances, youth will sometimes want to try new things despite knowing the legal consequences. Unfortunately, they do not always know the moral consequences of such behavior. A great resource for families to learn more about peer pressure and illegal intoxicants is the website worldwideweb.fcd.org, where there are excellent services and advice for us and our children. 3. Dangerous living has real consequences. We have to explain the pitfalls of a dangerous lifestyle to our children. Being around intoxicated people or being intoxicated ourselves has so many terrible potential outcomes, such as getting involved in fights, getting arrested, contracting HIV or other sexually transmitted diseases, and even getting killed. Children need to hear that they are the most precious treasure, and that the thought of losing them is our worst nightmare. All parents want their children to live up to their potential. We want them to associate with good people, whose example will inspire them to improve. Before problems arise in your children, discuss difficult topics with them lovingly and rationally. If they understand the immense sense of responsibility that we feel for them and their behavior, then this can be the starting point for them to think and act more responsibly and learn how to discern good friends from poor acquaintances. They may also find more constructive activities with which to occupy themselves. For families that are already in crisis, work on effect solutions together and remember this: parents' love for their children is not enough. Reason and understanding must accompany it. With hard work, we can retrieve the loving relationship with our children that lead to harmony and happiness in the family.